All right. So, welcome to moving to Charlotte, North Carolina. My name is Anthony LaBella, and I wanted to do this. I wanted to do this webinar because so many people are leaving New York, and one of the largest destinations for New Yorkers is North Carolina, and of course, along with Florida and South Carolina and Texas. But mostly it's North Carolina and Florida. So I wanted to do this with a top agent in the Charlotte area who could shed light on Charlotte and what's going on down there, and things that people might need to know if they're considering a move to North Carolina. So just really quickly, I'll introduce myself. My name is Anthony LaBella. I'm with eXp Realty here on Long Island in New York. And I am with, and this meeting is also hosted by Alison Alston, a top agent in Charlotte, North Carolina. So maybe before we get started, Alison, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get right into it.
Absolutely. Thanks for partnering up with me, Anthony. It's great to do something together. I'm also an agent at eXp. I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm actually licensed in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. As Anthony shared, we do quite a bit of relocation from the Northeast down to these areas. So we make sure that we've got coverage on the ground, and Anthony and I get to partner together and help make sure our clients have the best experience on both ends. I am originally from the great state of New Jersey, and I moved down to Charlotte from the Northeast. I just got tired of the winters, which is, I think, many of the same reasons a lot of people move to the Carolinas. We still have the four seasons here, which I love. Winter is just about this big, and our version of winter is very different from what I grew up with in the Northeast. We rarely have snow. In fact, they have a count going with the local meteorologist for how many hundreds of days it's been since we've had any. Hopefully, it keeps going into the thousands on my perspective, but everyone down here seems to die for it. Um, our average temps are still in the high 40s to mid 50s year round. Fall lasts into Thanksgiving. We still have leaves on the trees. So it's just a much longer, prolonged season. And one of the things that I always get is people say, well, it's so hot in the summer down there. And I used to say, well, I'd rather hibernate in the air conditioning for 2 months of the year than hibernate in the heat for 6 to 8 months. However, I have to tell you, I still have family in New Jersey, and they have been sharing that the temperatures pretty much the same as here. We typically have about a 5-degree difference. The humidity is just the same as it is there on the coast. So really, if you're used to the Northeast and those hot, humid summers, you're going to be just fine here. It's not much different. Um, I will share a little slide with you guys just about my team so you can see who we are and what's going on there. Let me just pop this up. So we were founded in 2012. We are a top 1.5% team in the country. I was the #1 agent in North Carolina. We believe in actively sharing our collective strengths and resources, hence why people like Anthony are such great partners. He knows I have the experience of living in the Northeast, so I know what you're looking for. And when you're coming down here, we're going to dive into that a little bit. But it also helps knowing you've got a phenomenal seasoned agent to help you sell your current home in New York with him, and then you can transition down to me and my team here in the Carolinas and Georgia to help you on this end. Um, we are neighborhood experts, and we actually live where we sell. And so every one of my agents is stationed at a different area throughout the regions. They only work in that area. We are not trying to cover the entire Charlotte region. So it makes sense that you have an expert. They know the commercial development, the residential development, new construction is a big thing here. We have a lot going on, so we want to make sure you have a really good expert who can share everything that's going to be important to you. Um,
If I could just jump in really
yeah,
quick, this is exactly, Allison, why I love, and thank you again for doing this, for doing this call with me, because I wanted to have someone like you who is one of the if not, well, the top agent in the area, and your team who is so embedded and ingrained in the area, and a top selling team, which means that people put their trust in you when buying or selling their homes there. So again, I'm just really honored to have you here to be able to help people who are considering a move, which is not, people coming from New York and moving to another state. It's not like a typical move, especially in
Mhm.
the last 5 years, where people are just moving to a different neighborhood. They're moving across states. So this is very important. So having a resource like Alison to help guide you moving into a new state to get, to get acclimated is worth everything. So again, thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Continue.
No, please interrupt. I appreciate it. And same here. One of the things that Anthony and I both love about working together is we both truly care about our clients and we want to make sure it's a great experience for them. We both care about other people. One of the benefits you get, aside from having a phenomenal top tier agent with working with our team down here, is we also donate a portion of every sale to an annual philanthropy initiative. So our team votes and chooses a local philanthropy every year. This year, we're supporting a group called Change Please. And so, you know that you're doing good in the same process by just doing exactly what you already planned on doing, which was buying a great new house. So, talking about the lifestyle, I know a lot of people get anxious, right? It's a big change to go from the Northeast to the Southeast. When my family and I made the decision to relocate here, it was a big decision for us because I was born and raised, as I said, in New Jersey. My family is still there, a lot of them. Many of them have followed us down here. Um, but you get used to certain ways of life, right? I will tell you the food in New York, you can't beat it. It's one of the best places in the country. You have access to so many different things. When we first moved here, that was not the case. So, full transparency, we moved down here, and I remember about 6 months in, my husband and I looked at each other and thought, "Oh, what did we do?" Okay. We had to go out to a chain restaurant one night, which, coming from where we did, those didn't exist. So it was a little bit of an adjustment for us. We were used to supporting these small mom and pop places. Um, Fast forward, and now we have over 40 restaurants opening every year. We have become a huge foodie scene. We have a lot of different ethnic foods now that we didn't have, and you have a wide variety of choices. Some of the top chefs from New York, Atlanta, Charleston, Nashville, they're all migrating here. The cost of living is significantly better than those other areas of the country. And you get a lot for your money from a standpoint of investing in a business. So that's a really big win for them. I will say we had a bit of sticker shock. We were back in Manhattan for a family wedding this past February, and we went out for drinks, and it was a lot more expensive than I remembered it being. And I figured in my mind, right, it's been a decade, things will have increased some, but we had quite the sticker shock when we got that bill. So you will have sticker shock in a much friendlier way when you come down here. Um, aside from incredible food opportunities, you also have a lot of great activities. Charlotte, in particular, I love its location because it is equidistant to the mountains. You have Asheville's about 2 hours away, Boone, Blowing Rock, Chimney Rock, some great places where you can go hiking. There's skiing. There's a lot of different waterfalls. We do a lot of tubing on the rivers here. So you have opportunities to go and do the mountain life if you want. The same point, in about 3 hours, you can be out to the coast and be on the beach. I was born and raised on the Jersey Shore. And so for me, that was a big factor. If I'm not going to live on the water every day, I want to have easy access to it. So we love scooting down to Charleston and just getting a little escape and enjoying that beach life. We do have a large international airport. It's one of the top 10 busiest in the country. You have plenty of flight options everywhere, all day and all night long. It's very easy to access and it's very easy to get around. You also love that if you decide to park there instead of taking an Uber, our parking only costs you about $8 a day. So significantly better than JFK's rates the last time I checked.
Just a
Um,
little.
just a little bit, yeah. Um, so those are some of the things that are really great about the area. The other thing is just along with that lifestyle, what does your house look like? So you're going to get a lot more house for your money. The property taxes are less than 1% here. That is a huge difference from the Northeast. You are going to be able to live in an urban area if you want. You have downtown Charlotte, locals here, we call it Uptown. So you'll hear us talk about Uptown quite a bit. It's because it's actually physically situated at the north end of the city. But uptown living, you have condos, townhomes, single family there. You just 5 minutes outside of it have some great suburban neighborhoods with walkability. And so you can have kind of a mix of those two lifestyles. You can also go further out and have a giant farm if you would like. You can live on one of the lakes. We border North and South Carolina. So you have Lake Norman and Lake Wylie. Those are two of our largest lakes here. And then the Catawba River kind of flows in between them. So you have a lot of opportunities for some great lifestyles. Average cost of housing, our median housing price is around $487,000. So significantly lower than what the Northeast is, and you get a lot of house for that money. Now, we can find you some condos in the $200,000 range still, and I can find you a mega mansion in the 2, 3+ million dollar range. We have a wide variety to offer, and I think to me that's one of the things that I love about this area the most as a realtor. It's always very easy to find something for everyone. Just because you may have a tighter budget doesn't mean lake life is out of the question. Like I said, we've got condos in the 200 range. Um, if you do have more budget to spend, we can get you a really nice waterfront property up on Lake Norman. You've got a lot of flexibility into what you can get for your money here. It's going to go a lot further. Um, you know, School systems, if people have school age children, a lot of people talk about the variety of school options in Charlotte. We have a ton of different private schools. We obviously have a great public school system. You also have STEM schools are quite popular here. Those are in a lottery system, but you do have the opportunity to go and specialize. We have performing arts schools that are semi-private, and I use the word semi-private because there isn't actually tuition associated with them. You just go through an application process like a normal private school. But so we have a lot of opportunities based on what your kids' strengths are and what they want to go and immerse themselves with. And I think that's very different. I know, at least for myself, where I grew up, we had a public school system, and then we had about two private schools to choose from, or you had to go to boarding school. Down here, boarding schools are not a thing. So if you're looking to send your kid away, you're going to be sending them out of state. Um, Locally, you'll have some private day school options, but boarding is not really a thing here. And speaking of other things that are a very different way of life, my husband is the perfect example of this. So my husband works at one of the large banks. When we were up in the Northeast, he didn't really have hours, and I know you all know what I'm talking about. Everything was flexible, right? And you got in before the markets opened, well before then, and you stayed there well after. In Charlotte and in the Carolinas in general, we really put a priority on work-life balance. The banks, he is out of that door at 5:01. On a bad day, it might be 5:05. So you get a lot more balance in your life. And it really just lends to being able to go out and enjoy what you have in the city a lot more. Um, so those, I think, are some of the really important factors with a lifestyle change here. I have a lot of people that will say, "Oh, you know, it's a slow pace, right? Southerners are a little slow; they move slower. I'm not sure if I can do that. I'm used to the fast pace of New York life." It's a nice, happy medium. I've spent a lot of time all over the Southeast. Charlotte is one of those great areas where it's really a hybrid. We have so many people who have relocated here. We've started calling the locals unicorns. They laugh about it. They call themselves Charlotteans. We prefer unicorns. They have spread out. They've moved outside of the city further out because they're a little overwhelmed, I think, by the sheer growth in the population and all the development happening. For the rest of us coming down, we're very excited about it. but everybody for the most part has relocated from someplace. So they're very welcoming. They're very supportive of your transition. They're going to help you get going. I spent 3.5 hours my first day at the grocery store when we were down here because a woman from New York looked at me and said, "You're not from here." I said, "I'm not." She said, "Where did you just move from?" She pulled me aside. We grabbed a cup of coffee at the Starbucks and she sat there and wrote down, "Here are the restaurants, here's the shops, this is the butcher. These are the places you need to go." So you're just going
Wow.
to have like a really great interaction. Um, it's not going to be like Manhattan, sorry, Manhattaners. But when I go up there, I still am just amazed because nobody makes eye contact. They don't smile, they don't wave, they don't say hi. And that used to be normal. But down here, you're going to never meet a stranger because everybody's friendly. Everyone's going to be saying hi. So you're just going to have to get used to that. That will be a little bit different. But I think it's a nice, warm welcome difference and something that makes every day a little bit more enjoyable.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. New Yorkers just tend to keep to themselves, especially in the
Yeah.
city. Everyone's just trying to get to where they need to go and
Yep.
not have to interact with anyone.
Yeah. So it's just, there's some lifestyle tweaks, I call them, rather than drastic changes. I happen to think most of them are really for the best. I know we've really enjoyed living here. You could not pay me to move back to the Northeast. Um, I just, I go up and visit. My sister has two little kids, so we go up every December for Christmas and we visit them. And I am always freezing my rear end off. I'm very excited to drive back down and have the thermostat start creeping back up. But one of the other things too is just the gray, right? So in the winter, you're still going to have bright blue skies here, even on those colder days. And it's something that just really changes a lot of your demeanor as you get through the winters. We're largely outside 10, 11 months of the year, depending on the year. There's some months that there's 2 months that we're like, "All right, we're going to hunker down." But for the most part, you're outside, you're experiencing life. I think especially after COVID, that's really an important thing for a lot of people. You aren't stuck in your house anymore. You can get out and go and explore. Most of the restaurants have patios out front. We're also a very dog friendly city. So you want to bring your pup with you to the restaurant, go right ahead and do it. You want to bring your kids to the breweries, go right ahead and do it. They've got playgrounds, they've got dog parks. Everything is set up for a family lifestyle.
Wow.
Yeah. What are some questions I can help answer?
So, anybody questions? I have a few. Where do a lot of people live within this city? I guess the city proper, or do
Hmm.
most people commute into the city from 20 minutes away, 40 minutes, 30 minutes? And how
Most
far is
people
the airport from
commute.
the city?
Yeah, so the airport is about 12 minutes from the city. It's a really quick, short ride. Most people commute, I'm going to say probably an average of about 20 to 30 minutes. Um, the city itself tends to be a lot of younger um, homeowners. It's mostly condo living. When you get out, the city's split into four quadrants. So we have the four wards. When you get out into the fourth ward, you have some more of these beautiful old Victorian style single family homes. So you'll get a little bit more of an older population there. But closer in, it tends to be a lot of condo life. Uh, most of my clients that come down from the Northeast are looking for a little more space to spread out. Um, they tend to settle in the immediate band of housing that's right outside of the city. And so that's going to be within that 20 to 30-minute commute time. That band is going to include neighborhoods like Dilworth and Myers Park. Dilworth is an old streetcar suburb. And so when Charlotte started expanding out from uptown, there was a streetcar that ran in one loop. And so all of the neighborhoods kind of spread out across there. Dilworth is incredibly walkable. It is one of our only historic areas in the city. You've got a lot of really cute craftsman style bungalows, that style of home, but you have access to great parks and walking trails and pretty much all the shops and restaurants. If you wanted to, you could walk into Uptown. We've walked in for a football game, soccer game. It's about a 15-minute walk from that neighborhood, so it's not bad. Myers Park is where you're losing a little bit of that walkability. It's going to be more of a suburban neighborhood feel, but much larger lots. The lots tend to be about a half an acre in size and very, very heavily wooded. One of the most beautiful roads in Charlotte is Queens Road, and it is the old trolley car original line that it came out. And we have all these gorgeous old pin oaks that just line it and create a stunning canopy. So you will see people walking along that path in the summer and getting the shade from it. But that tends to be very popular. And then I would say South Park is probably the third most popular area. We have three main business centers in Charlotte. So we have Uptown, South Park, which is kind of in the center of things, and then further south, an area called Ballantyne. Um, South Park is very popular because you have walkability, you've got parks, you have an outdoor amphitheater where they have live music throughout April, May, June, and then again, once the fall picks up in October a little bit. You have our main shopping mall there. So the South Park Mall is there. So you have access to all of the larger stores like Williams Sonoma and Pottery Barn and those things. But you also have some smaller mom and pop type boutiques and restaurants there. And so you kind of get the mix of everything. It's like a mini city, but you also have condos, townhomes, and single family all right within the same area. So that tends to be very popular. It's also near one of the main hospitals. And so for any of our physician community moving in, that tends to be very popular with them as well.
Yeah, and I was going to ask the largest industries there. I'm sure you have like you said, there's a lot of healthcare population. What other, you mentioned your husband's in banking, so banking and
Mhm.
finance. Of course, everyone's talking about Wall Street South, which is all the hedge funds and banks moving to Florida, but I'm sure there's a lot of financial migration as well to North Carolina.
Yeah, we have Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Truist Bank, Ally Bank. Um, who else am I forgetting? Goldman Sachs opened up one of their tech offices here. So those are kind of a few of the larger scale banks, and then we have quite a few of the mid-sized ones as well. Honeywell relocated their headquarters from Morristown, New Jersey, down here a few years ago. They've got quite a big presence now. There's pretty much a new high-rise tower going up every other month for a different
Oh,
company
wow.
relocating. Yeah, our skyline is expanding massively. We've added 6 new towers in the last 2 years. So it's
Wow.
quite a big growing and developing area. Um, FinTech is also very popular. We have a lot of technology down here. Lowe's moved their headquarters from Ohio to South End, which is another neighborhood just outside of Uptown. That technically opened in 2020. Not the best timing, but it technically opened then. They officially really started placing people there end of 21, early 2022. But that was a big relocation that happened as well. And then healthcare is huge here. So Atrium Health is the largest company for hiring in the Carolinas. They have recently gone through a merger. And so now they have hospital systems in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. They also just did a merger with Wake Forest University. And so they now have a teaching campus that just opened 3 weeks ago. They partnered with Siemens, who just put part of their company headquarters here. And they are doing a really cool medical and engineering combination program with them. So there's a lot of development and research and activity that's happening. You really can kind of find a job in anything, and obviously hospitality and the sports industries too.
Wow. And you mentioned the new high-rise towers going up. What about new construction communities?
If you, I always tell people, if you spin it in a circle, anywhere that your finger touches, you will see a crane. We have an insane amount of new development happening. As a realtor, the most difficult thing for me is GPS because there are new roads popping up constantly. We have an extreme amount of development. South End is a great example of that. So 10 years ago, there was really nothing to South End. It was a lot of empty warehouses, old building supply, tire supply, that kind of stuff. It was pretty much abandoned. And now it is the hottest neighborhood in Charlotte. They've had over 40,000 units go online in the last 6 years alone. They have
Wow.
renamed several areas now. So we have South End, we now have Loso coming in. We also have Brooklyn Village for our New Yorkers. So we have a lot of areas popping up pretty frequently with all of this new construction. South End's an interesting neighborhood in particular because originally it was geared towards that millennial group coming out of college, wanting that uptown lifestyle, but maybe they couldn't quite afford it. It took off so tremendously. And then we had the light rail expand out. And so that definitely helped with that development. And we have a lot of empty nesters coming and settling in that area because they can go hop on the train, be in Uptown in about 7 minutes, and go do whatever they want. And they don't need a car, while still having a little bit more space than living truly in the city. So it gives them a lot of flexibility.
Wow. So there is that walkability and a public transportation infrastructure. So people do not need a car. Wow. Interesting.
Yes, if you live close to Uptown in those neighborhoods. So I'm very careful to
Got it.
say that. We are not
Okay.
Manhattan. We do not have a subway system. We don't run all over the city. We have a light rail that is one of the cleanest trains I've ever been on in my life. And that runs all the way down the west side of the city and then up through Uptown and out to UNC Charlotte. Um, we have some plans on the table that will be voted on actually this coming November to do an expansion to that and run it down the east side. But you can't get to the airport on it yet. So that's a big sticking point for a lot of us. We also have a Gold Line, which is a trolley car that does another extension that goes from Uptown out to an area called Five Points, which is another huge area for growth. So that's kind of our main systems, and then the bus system. The bus system goes everywhere. It has for a long time. I will say it's not necessarily always on time, but it does get there and it does run. So I do caution people, if you live away from the light rail and you're in some of the suburban areas, you definitely will want a car there.
Got it. If someone is living in or closer to Charlotte and they wanted to go for the weekend, let's say it's at Lake Norman, are there a number of hotels? How long does it take to get up there? Um, Maybe you could shed some light on
Yeah.
how like someone
So
would,
Lake,
where people go for the weekend or for
yeah.
a trip or something.
Typically most people don't go to the lakes for the weekend. They're only about 20
Okay.
minutes away.
Oh, perfect.
So two things that are really popular here is Freedom Boat Club and Carefree Boat Club. They're two large boat clubs. You can join and then you have a monthly membership fee. You make your reservation online, you go walk out in the dock, the boat's waiting, and off you go. So no more boat maintenance, no more taking care of anything. They gas it up, everything. So you can just enjoy it and then return it. So a lot of people will go up and spend the day out in the lakes, and go boating for the day. If you did want to stay on Lake Norman, there are a few hotels. Airbnbs tend to be the most popular way to enjoy the lake area. So most people will book an Airbnb and do that for a longer weekend. Otherwise, they'll scoot out to Charleston, down to the Kiowa area. Charleston's about 3 and change hours,
Oh, okay.
without, yeah, it's not far. So we'll scoot down there quite a bit for a weekend. They'll go out to the mountains, go to Asheville. Even post Helene, it's come back quite nicely. There's a lot of places open again. So that's something that we've really encouraged people to get back out to the mountains. And especially this time of year, if you want to break from the heat, it's typically about 20 degrees cooler up there. So it can be a nice little escape. And again, it's only a 2 hour drive.
Oh,
Asheville
wow.
has tons of hotels. So you'll have every hotel chain imaginable there and then some. You can also do Airbnbs as well there.
Okay, great. There's just so
Yeah,
much to do, so many activities. You quickly get anywhere to the water,
there's a
to the
lot.
mountains.
hmm the U.S. National Whitewater Center is here. I always love to share that with people. The Whitewater team trains there, and then in their off season, it becomes our playground. So they have climbing walls, hiking trails. You're on the Catawba River, So you can go and rent kayaks, stand-up paddle boards, just go out and enjoy a day on the river. They have a lot of different swimming pool areas that you can go and do a climb and drop into the pool afterwards and cool off. There's zip lining. Again, there's live music. We do a lot outdoor. And so you have live music pretty much everywhere here, and most of the year. So that's a big difference. So you can get out and enjoy it usually about 8 to 9 months of the year.
There's
Wow.
basically something for everyone out there.
There really is. Yeah. It's a lot of variety and a lot of enjoyable ways to spend a day. If you want to do the city thing, you can. If you want to get out of Dodge, you can. It's pretty easy.
Well, I'm sold. Find me a house.
Right. And it's investor
Done.
friendly too, right?
What's that, Julia?
It's investor friendly.
It is very investor friendly. So South Carolina is not. So I do share that with everyone. South Carolina is not investor friendly. South Carolina has a 6% surcharge on the property taxes if it is not your primary home. And from what I understand, they do track that quite seriously. But North Carolina is very investor friendly. You have a lot of opportunities to get down here. I used to do fundraising for private schools in the Northeast before I transitioned to real estate full time. And a lot of my previous board members and donors are investors down here now.
Wow.
It's a lot of great opportunity. As we talked about with the Airbnbs, a lot of people will buy investment properties on the lakes and in the mountains to go ahead and capitalize on that vacation traffic and then use it, when they want to.
Wow. Okay, great.
Sure.
Any other questions from anyone? All right. Well, I mean, that was really informative. Thank you so much. It was really in depth.
Of course.
Covered a lot of topics. Is there anything else that we didn't cover? I think we covered everything.
I think so.
Yeah.
If anyone has any questions, they can always reach out. Happy to be a resource. We do have a full-time concierge on our team. So Susan is a Charlotte native. And so we always tell people, if you have what you may think is a very specific or random question, I'll give an example. We had someone whose child was involved in a very elite gymnastics club, and they wanted to make sure they were going to have a comparable program down here. Susan will go and find that and give you that answer and get that settled for you. So I always say we help with all of your real estate needs, and Susan helps with all of your lifestyle needs to make sure we can align the two. And it's a really good transition for you if you're moving as an individual or your entire family if a family unit's coming.
It's fantastic. And for everyone that's going to see this later on the recording, I'll put Alison's information in the description of the video. So you can certainly contact her for any of your needs down in North Carolina. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap it up. And thank you again, Alison, for participating, and thank you everyone else
Thank
for coming
you.
to join us this evening. I really appreciate it. This will be available for recording if anyone would like to share it with their colleagues or friends. And again, thank you so much. It was really a pleasure and very informative. And I might start looking for a place myself.
Come on down. Although, wait, if you move here, then I need somebody up there. So you don't get to
Okay,
come
maybe
here.
I'll stay. All right.
Sorry.
I'll buy a rental. I'll buy a rental.
Okay, we can do that.
All right.
I'll let you come visit.
All right, perfect. All right, everyone.
Night,
Have a
guys. Thank
wonderful
you.
evening.
Bye.
Take care,
Bye.
everybody.